Eun Gyeol is part of a family of 4 where he's the only hearing member. He has an older brother, whom he loves dearly, and 2 very loving parents. At age 12, Eun Gyeol and his family moved to a new neighborhood, where they lived in a basement apartment. The landlady realizes that even though the family is disabled, the young boy is a genius, so she asks her son of the same age to get along with him. Instead, Byung-ho decides he wants to be a bully and chooses to harass young Eun Gyeol. Feeling disheartened, Eun Gyeol ends up in front of the Viva music store. There, he finds an Eric Clapton song that makes him deeply emotional. Eun Gyeol is the family's lifeline. On the day of the fire, the old man had passed away, too. After Eun Gyeol's father and brother recovered, the family had to leave the neighborhood. He decides to say goodbye one last time to his old friend, only to find out he's dead, and that was the end of his affection for music. 18 years old now, Eun Gyeol still secretly plays music, and for the past 6 years, his family hasn't found out about it. While busking, Eun Gyeol gets asked by an up-and-coming indie band called Spine 9 to audition to be their guitarist. He declines at first, but somehow, he feels drawn to try it out. He had certain conditions before joining the band, though. He's in his final year of school, so his studies come before music, but more importantly, he has a difficult family situation, so his family comes before anything else. Eun Gyeol makes the decision to leave the band because he's reminded that the unfortunate incident of 6 years ago is a fixation for his family rather than a piece of their forgotten past. Eun Gyeol finally has a chance to explain to his dad that he wants to pursue music, his passion. His dad is completely against the idea. Eun Gyeol's finally able to speak up, so he ends up saying some really harsh things, like how he's tired of being an interpreter for his family, and that even if he had tried to explain to his father that he wanted to do music, he wouldn't have been able to hear it, so there was no point in doing so. Eun Gyeol goes ahead and sells his guitar. When Eun Gyeol gets out of the store, it's daytime and he's in 1995. Eun Gyeol is mistaken for a random guy by Lee-chan. When Lee-chan introduces himself as the frontman of the band First Love Memory Manipulators, Eun Gyeol is shocked to realize it's his dad and he has a voice. Although a great father to Eun Gyeol, Lee-chan was a completely different person at age 18. Apart from being able to hear and talk, his boisterous personality is a total 180 from what he was over 28 years later. After confessing to Se Kyeong and making a scene about starting a band, Lee-chan begins his search for his other members. Se Kyeong is making an effort to befriend Cheong Ah. For now, it looks like a genuine connection, and maybe it is the fact that Cheong Ah can't hear Se Kyeong play the cello that is making her consider this fashion, making everything much clearer for him. Cheong Ah decides to find Lee-chan to tell him the whole truth this time, but it's too late, and both Cheong Ah and Eun Gyeol find Se Kyeong talking to Lee-chan. Cheong Ah's mother was the only person nice to her, but when she was about 6, her mother was taken away from her. The new teacher was extremely harsh with her, and Cheong Ah had a tough time growing up, being locked in a solitary room every time she misbehaved, even slightly. The first time she sees Lee-chan is at the party, which he breaks into looking for Se Kyeong. He makes a big mess there, and Cheong Ah, who is locked in the room once again, ends up watching from the window and smiling freely for the first time in a long time. Lee-chan says he won't take him back to his grandmother's boarding house if he walks away, but Eun Gyeol walks away anyway. He's tired of his dad's immaturity, and in his mind, he apologizes to his great-grandmother for leaving unannounced. Se Kyeong isn't actually Se Kyeong but her daughter. Eun was sent back to 1995 because she had suicidal thoughts. Ma-ju finds a secret room for them to practice in, though only band members are allowed to go there. This gives Eun Gyeol a genius idea. He takes Cheong Ah along to this new spot with the excuse of asking her to be the designer for the band. To his utter shock, though, Se Kyeong is already there, and so he needs to do something to get her away from Ichon. He serenades her and leans in for a kiss. Eun Gyeol decides to go for the kiss anyway, shocking Se Kyeong. On the other hand, Ichon asks Cheong Ah if she likes him, and she admits it immediately. Se Kyeong tells Eun Gyeol that they should maintain their distance for the time being because this is cheating, and Ichon doesn't get a fair chance. In the meantime, Eun Gyeol comes to Se Kyeong, or rather, Eun Yu, right when she needs him. She's looking at a noose in the house when he delivers the message of her being accepted as their photographer. Everyone is ready to put on a fabulous show, and the music shop owner decides to treat the band to a barbecue meal as good luck for their debut. A fight breaks loose, and the boys try really hard to fight off Doojin's guys, who have wooden sticks as weapons. Ichon is a good match for Hyunyeol, and they fight off as many guys as possible. But Doojin runs out of patience and decides to join the fight by hitting Ichon in the back of the head. As Ichon falls to his knees, he realizes this is what Eun Gyeol was telling him about and suddenly thinks what he said might be true. Eun Gyeol realizes he left Se Kyeong out to dry when he ran off to save his father without a word. She's furious and tells Eun Gyeol that the thing she hates the most is abandonment because her parents did the same thing to her. When her parents were getting divorced, they fought each other for a whole year for Se Kyeong. Eun Gyeol and Eun Yu get calls from Master. They both try to find some sort of network, in 1995, to reach the Master again. At the end of the episode, they face each other with their modern-day mobile phones, realizing that they're both from the future. On the other hand, Ichon finds a kitten for Cheong Ah to play with so that she doesn't feel lonely or bored. Cheong Ah lets Ichon know that she's just fine on her own and he should focus on the band and writing the song. When Ichon returns to the cabin after spending some time with Cheong Ah, he starts to work on the song that Eun Gyeol sang for him. Eun Gyeol is surprised by his father's amazing memory. When Cheong Ah is back home, her stepmother is furious at the fact that she didn't say anything and didn't return home all night. She slaps her on the face, and Cheong Ah uses sign language to tell her to stop hitting her. She says she finally has people who love her and look after her. Eun Gyeol finds Cheong Ah in the locked attic, and she tells him that he's finally found her after 12 years of a hide-and-seek game. Eun Gyeol is absolutely devastated by what his mother has gone through and cries like a baby, holding her tight. He finally gets her out. Putting the pieces of the puzzle together, Eun Gyeol and Eun Yu figure out how to keep Ichon safe the next day. Eun Gyeol finds himself in a tough spot when a speeding car approaches him. Before it can hit him, though, Ichon shows up and pushes him out of the way, getting hit himself. This is Ichon's canon event, so there was no way Eun Gyeol could have changed it, but he did make alterations in whatever way he could, making both his parents' lives much better in the future. Eun Gyeol and Eun Yu return to the present. Due to the changes and realizations that they made in the past, the present is better for both them and their families. Twinkling Watermelon is a show that teaches us to be empathetic and understanding. Through its characters, it's easy to realize that there is much more to life than we see.